Hey, so I'm going to show you how to make some simple graphics today. They're not hard at all. You can make them into a template and you can honestly use these for any sports. I got them actually from Ole Miss Baseball's Twitter. So that's where they're from. They're not my ideas, just going off of whatever they created. Also, side note, if you hear any loud noise like an AC unit turn on, it's because I'm sitting next to my AC. So just ignore it. Anyways, let me show you these graphics. Okay, so here's the first one. Gameday, just showing who they playing, a lineup, and a final. Again, you can use these for any sports. It doesn't really matter. Simple picture with some text, make it into a template, and you're good to go. You can switch it out and post them on socials, and you'll be ready to rock. These are some other graphics that I made for a project. I may make a separate video. These are a little more in depth when it comes to skills on Photoshop, but I'll show you anyways. I made this one. Again, this was for a project. This is just a made up graphic. This one as well, made up situation, but made it into a graphic. So again, if you want to know how these are made, I may be making a separate video. But let's get into what we're about to do is make these graphics. So I'm going to start off with this one. Simple, have a picture, game day, and every situation or every detail about it. Date, time, location, who's it's against. And then, of course, how to tune in or broadcast. I'm going to be using all my photos, so I'm not going to be using anything else. This will actually probably be a super simple one to do. It'll be easy to go. So let's pull up Photoshop. For anybody wondering, I use Adobe Photoshop 2019. I rarely update any of my Adobe stuff unless it updates without my permission, which happens a lot. I got Adobe, the group of Adobe products back in 2018, I think it is. And honestly, I've used it every day since. There's probably not a time that I don't come to Adobe to create stuff. So you're going to go to create new when you get in here. Every person's different when it comes to size of the actual graphic. I have always stick to inches, and it is always 16 by 9. The reason it's 16 by 9 is because 16 by 9 is automatically what every social media crops a picture to, whether that's Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. It automatically crops unless it's going to be a square. I like to keep it 16 by 9 because that's what I've been drilled with to use for socials. When we create content, we just do everything 16 by 9. Now that Twitter has updated their, I guess their cropping is not just only 16 by 9. It has made things easier to where you can share wallpapers, wallpaper graphics that you make or anything else. But again, just because I've been drilled to keep everything 16 by 9, that's what I'm going to be doing. So I adjusted over here with the inches. As you can see, you have inches, pixels, pretty much whatever. I go with 16 by 9, create. So I'm going to have this blank piece of paper, this blank right here. I always like to arrange my workspace into Essentials default, just so I can see, actually, that's not what I wanted. I arrange my workspace, I think it's graphic and web. Yeah, wait. Nope. Motion. Okay, yeah, I had it right the first time. I'm dumb. Anyways, I like to have it in this because down here in this corner, you can see every single layer that you create. This is going to be really important when you start to make multiple layers with either text or having any shadow effects to pictures. This is going to be really important. So always have that pulled up. If you don't like having it pulled up, that's okay, but I do. All right, so first I'm going to have, what we're going to do is we're going to get a picture. I should have picked a picture in advance, but you know what? It's okay. I'm going to just pull one up. I'm going to have to find a wide angle photo that I can, there goes my AC, you'll hear it. Maybe able to do that one. Don't mind me, just looking for photo. So anyways, whatever photo you want to use, keep in mind, since it's a 16 by 9, you're going to want whatever the action is. I'm going to show you real quick. Whatever the action is, you're going to want it kind of over on the rule of thirds. And if you don't know rule of thirds, what? Rule of thirds is going to be, hold on, that's the eraser. Love that for me. So the rule of thirds is going to be kind of like this when you look at a photo. It's going to have grids like this. So pretty much, rule of thirds, whenever you take a photo, it doesn't always have to be this way, but sometimes you always try to get the focus to be on some of these lines. Actually, I could have just, you know what? You're going to always want the action to be kind of where your eye is going to be drawn to. And again, it doesn't always have to be like that, but most of the time, when you look at a photo, when you go to edit on Lightroom, for instance, let me pull that up so you can see. Now I'm going to have to share my other screen. But when you pull up any type of editing on a photo, it's always going to be the rule of thirds. Oh gosh. Well, if it'll load, you know, Adobe's really slow sometimes. So for instance, I'm going to show you all this. Let me share the screen. This is a senior photo that I took. As you can see, there's lines here. There's always 3 boxes in each area. Say I was to turn it sideways, let's see. If I was to do it sideways, let's just say it's going to have 1, 2, 1, 2. So as you can see, she's not in the rule of thirds when it's horizontally. But say we turn it, come on, vertical. I could put her on this line right here and say I was to crop this photo right here. She's gonna, your eye is immediately gonna go to her because there's this dead space right here. So anyways, that's what I mean by rule of thirds. But anywho, when you do photos for graphics, you have to keep in mind when you, if you're going to put an object on one side and you're going to have words over here, you have to keep in mind when you're looking for photos how to find the right photo for your graphics. Let's go ahead and get all this stuff off. And how I'm erasing is I'm doing Command Z on my keyboard. I have a lot of tricks for Photoshop on my keyboard. Anywho, let me find a photo like I was originally doing before I went on my soapbox of pictures. Okay, let's see. Where do we want to find photos? Where is it? You know what? We may just use this photo of this dude. It's not the ideal photo, but We gotta do what we got to do. I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't think it's that wide of a shot to do. See, as you can tell, I am a perfectionist. So, of course, I'm gonna sit here and be like, oh, this one may not work. Oh, blah, 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 you know. Let's see what we have in our football folder. I pull up to the after party. Da, 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 da. Y'all don't mind my singing. I will literally sing all day long. You know what? We're just going to go with this baseball photo. Honestly, I don't think it's going to work the way I want it to, but it's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to drag this photo from the folder that it's in onto this. And boom, there it is. So now that I got my photo in, I'm going to go over here to edit and transform. Actually, it's already in scale, so that's fine. So I'm going to scale the photo to fit this box. You know what? It actually may work. You know what? His leg may be cut off, but we're going to go with it. Just for the example, we're going to go with it. His leg's cut off, whatever. But you get what I mean. So once you have it scaled, you're like, okay, it looks great. Now, referencing back to our photo, we're going to put a box here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the square and I'm going to be like, hello, let's get this rectangle tool. I'm going to make it about, it looks about right. You know what? May make it a little big. So if you click out and you're like, oh no, I can't make it any bigger. Hold the phone. Yes, you can. Go up to edit and you're going to go down to transform and hit scale. It's going to put this little box around it. And so boom, you now have this box. So yeah, no worries there. And we're going to adjust the color. Hello, let me adjust it. Oh, duh, got to get out of it to adjust. And I'm like, okay, I want it to be purple, but I want, say you're like, hey, I want it to match him. Like say there's a color in the photo you want it to match. So I'm going to go over to, where's my dropper? This right here on the left side toolbar. I'm going to go over here. I'm like, oh, I like this color he's wearing. I'm going to hit it. And it should. Aha. Okay, see how it goes. I like that color right there. And it automatically saves right here, recent used colors. So I'm going to hit this color and boom, the box is the color I want it to be. I necessarily didn't pick the perfect picture because it's a dark photo, but it's okay because I can always adjust the photo. Anywho, so I have this box. I'm like, okay, cool. So now I'm going to go down to my text and I'm going to be like text. Yeah, this is what I want to do. Ah! So anyways, it has all this text. So right now my text is in purple. Let me highlight. So get out the way thing. Come on, Zoom. Anyway, so I'm gonna adjust it, make it white. Okay, so right now I have my text. So the cool thing about Photoshop is that if you have text on here and you're like, I don't like this font, you can always go and download free fonts and then add it to Photoshop. I can make a separate video off of that if you would like to know how to do that. It's pretty simple. So let's put on here Gameday exclamation mark. Actually, let me go back to the photo that, or the graphic that I'm going off of so I know what I'm doing. There's not a space between Gameday. Gameday, so it has it centered, so you're gonna center it, blah, blah, blah. Make it bigger. Made it smaller, it was already 60. I can always put in like 120. Game day, boom, baby. Total space. Ah! Okay, let me. Okay, so anytime you're like, oh, let's say you're like, oh, I don't like the spacing in between words. Say less. Go to this thing right up here, and you can go, where's the spacing? This is the spacing. So you're like, okay, perfect. You can adjust it to where this will be the spacing. Again, I'm gonna start a new text box because I don't want, the text boxes sometimes will merge together and you don't want that to happen. Again, you can always go and adjust it on the layers, but we're not trying to mess with all that. We're just gonna create some new text. So what we're gonna be doing here is, okay, next, okay, Ole Miss baseball versus. So what you would do initially is if you had, hold on, let me get rid of some of these text boxes. If you had, I'm so sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. If you have logos for each team or like their little thing, you could go and put these in here. Make sure they are, like for instance, let me share the screen with you. Okay, say, okay, now I want to get, for instance, I want to get SFA's logo. So I'm going to go to Google, hey, what's up? I'm already on Google. SFA baseball logo. Okay, here they are. So we're going to go images. And for instance, let's go with this one. Okay, you're like, oh, great. Here's the image. Ah, it still has its background to it. You have two options here. You can either type in transparent. This again, this is if you don't already have logos on your computer that are transparent. So you're like, oh, cool. Like, here's this one, but it still has a background to it. The way you know if it is transparent is if you drag it. See how I'm dragging it right here? And you can still see the background to it. That's how you know it's not transparent. So I go back over this one. Oh, it's still transparent. But you know what? I still want to use this logo. I'm going to save it to my desktop. Come on, minimize. I'm going to save it to my desktop, and I'll show you how to get around not having the background. And let's say SFA's playing Sam Houston. That's our rival. Sam Houston baseball. Oh, goody. It has all their players. Logo. That's what I need. Or their decal, I guess you could say. Okay, so I'm on here and I'm like, well, there's not really, I don't really like this one. I like it, but I don't like it. Let's just go with this basic square. This is like their old logo. Oh, would you look at that? It's not yeah, I thought it was transparent, but it's not. Anyways, let's go with the square, you know? All right, so now we got their logo, and we are now going, let me unshare this screen. We're now about to go back to Photoshop. Where's my Photoshop screen? Guys, I tell you what, I'm still not used to Zoom, and I've been doing this for a full year now. Okay, so I'm back here, and I'm like, okay, now let's get these logos on here. But hold up, remember, our logos have backgrounds. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get the logo that's from your desktop that you saved. You're gonna drag it on here, but you're not gonna drag it onto the picture. You're gonna drag it up here next to this. And you're gonna get it on there. You're like, hey, look, there it is. But now you have two tabs. You have your graphic that you're making, and you have this SFA logo that we want to cut out is what we're going to do, cut out. So I'm going to go up here. I wish this thing would move out of the way. So I'm going to go up to here, and let me move myself out the way too. So I see, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, here's my graphic. I'm going to go down to my layer box. Keep in mind, when you have your layer set up, you can now see what you're going to do. You're going to grab it like this, and you're going to go down to this little blank piece of paper. It's going to make a second layer. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this eye off. This eye right here means what is visible on the screen. So your first layer is you're going to just make it go away. You're now going to go up to, well, actually, no, we already made a layer. So you're going to go over here to this. This is what you're going to use to cut out. This tool will go around the shape that you are looking to cut out. And as you can see, everything, we're going to zoom in. Too far. As you can see, all these edges here, it looks like little marching ants. They are surrounding the edges. So here's the cool thing. You're now going to hit delete on your keyboard, and this background is gone. By clicking this eye, it brings it back. But that's not what we're worried about. We're going to now get out of it. I'm going to zoom out. And to zoom in and out, just hit Command plus or Command minus. So now, cool thing is you can move this logo around. And you're like, oh, cool. And there's no background to it. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull this tab out. And you pulled it out, and now it's this little floating image. You're now going to just drag it onto the other image. You now have a whole logo without a background within a couple seconds of creating it. Cool thing about this, you can do this with people too. On that other graphic I showed in the beginning where it was Asa Lacy, his debut game, I did this exact same process, but I cut around his body. The only thing is you have to be very careful when you do people, because sometimes the marching ants, the little dotted lines, will not pick up certain skin tones, or they won't pick up certain pieces of clothing. So you have to really make sure that every shoelace or every little piece of leather on a glove, or even a jersey, or even an ear or something, anything like that gets picked up. So you're going to have to examine it before you drag it onto your graphic that you're making. Okay, so what I want to make it obviously smaller. I'm going to go up to Edit, and I'm going to go down to Transform and Scale. I'm going to scale it down to where I can make it like right here. SFA. Boom. So now I still have, like, keep in mind this other thing, this image, you can honestly just exit out. It'll say, like, do you want to save? Don't save it. Unless you want to save it. If you are, you could always save it if you're going to use it for future graphics. You can do that. So now we're going to get our Sam Houston. Sam Houston, drag this bad boy in. Remember, drag it to the top. Don't drag it onto your image. We're going to go down here. Oh, this is a quick side note right here. So as you can see, this layer down here has a lock on it. The last one, it did not. You're going to see how it won't let you. It won't let you. All you do is unclick it. Hello. Normally it lets me click it. Let me make sure this layer is selected. Sometimes if it doesn't let you unlock it, normally it lets me just unlock it. You're going to go to Layer, New. Well, hold on. What's the issue? Do we not like this picture or something? Is this an issue? That's interesting. Normally, Maybe it's not selected. Sometimes Photoshop acts a little weird, so I'm just gonna not use this photo and I'm gonna use a different photo since it wants to play around. You know, sometimes it just, Photoshop can be tricky sometimes. You have to have a lot of patience to, oh, perfect. Let me share my screen for this one. Sometimes if you search long enough, is this sharing? Yeah. Sometimes if you search long enough through graphics, you'll find a transparent photo. Look how the background's not going with it. This is what we want to have. So I'm going to save this one. Even if it didn't, even if it wasn't transparent, I still would have used it and I would have cut it out the exact same as this SFA one that I did. So why is Lightroom being weird? Okay. So anyways, back to Photoshop we go. So again, this photo, because it is transparent, you will be able to drag it onto the graphic just like so. And as you can see, it pops up and you will be able to make it the size you want. So there we go. Make it a little smaller. I may have to make this box a little bigger. I think I will do so. That's not what I wanted. I want this. Make sure when you always go to scale something, make sure that the layer that you're wanting to scale is selected, because sometimes it'll select other things and you're like, hey, that's not what I wanted to make bigger. But make sure when you do that, that your scale is always selected, or your layer is always selected. Okay, so we're gonna make this box. Okay, I don't want it that big. Okay, yeah, that looks about right. It might have already been that size in the beginning. I have no idea. But anyways, so once I have that, I have my, see how like I went to go grab this Sam Houston, but this purple box is still selected. So I'm gonna go down here and grab the Sam Houston, and now I can move it. Anywho, let's see what this photo looks like again, or this Gameday graphic. Verses, we're gonna have verses in the middle. And we're also going to have the date, the time, and the location. Okay, so we're going to create a new text in here. Whoa. So anytime you do something in Photoshop, it always does a little, what's it called? A paragraph for you. It wants you to be more of a writer, I guess. I have no idea. I don't know what Photoshop was thinking. Okay, so that looks about right. Sure, my verses is selected. So I'm probably gonna make it a little bigger. Actually, I could just bring these in. Right about there. Perfect. Okay, so we have this. We have who's playing. Now we're gonna create another small text box. I know sometimes it's a little weird having multiple text on a graphic. Oh, this is how you change the text as well. It's not weird at all. I actually think it is actually better to have multiple text, just because it gives a little variety, and overall I think it just makes a graphic better if you have multiple text. Okay, let's see. I'm tired. We're just gonna go with this. the Bibis font. It didn't change. Okay, so we're gonna say, what's today's date? Okay, May 12th. You can put like a little, not a dash, but like a period in between 4 p.m. And I'm just gonna type out the field that this is at JC's field, which that is where SFA has their baseball games. So you can type up the field. Ole Miss typed in the city. So if they're playing out of town, you could type in the city. Really depends on what you want to do. Just, again, depends on what you want to do. Hello, come on. So I'm going to type it. As you can see, these, I'm going to make them smaller. Hello, come on. I'm going to make it, it didn't even get the field in it. Classic Photoshop. Okay, so I made it a little smaller just because, you know, it is details. Again, you can change the font for this if you want, or you could keep it all the same. I personally think, you know, font could be changed. I actually like this font better, but it's whatever. So then underneath it, how it's broadcast, I think Ole Miss put ESPN. This could be, honestly, if it's being aired on a radio station, you could go and get the radio station's logo and cut it out just how you did the SFA one. You could do, if it is being broadcast on, I don't know, some ESPN network, go and cut out ESPN's logo and put it right underneath right here. I think that'd be a great little tool. It gives it another little, I guess you could say, visual graphic. So for ours, I think we're like on ESPN3. I think so. I'm just gonna go find ESPN3 logo. ESPN3 or ESPN Plus. That's always a good one. Let's just say we're gonna do ESPN3. Let's just do that. You know, just so I can show you what this whole thing is gonna look like. So I'm getting the graphic for that, or the little photo. Where is it? Where did it go? Oh, there it is. I really need to organize my desktop. Okay, so I just brought in ESPN3. Good to know. Okay, I'm going to create a new layer like I showed you down here. Layer 1, we're going to eliminate. Actually, you know what? It's got this little white box around it. I kind of like the white box. Cut that. Cutty. You need a cutty. 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 So I'm going to add, I'm just going to drag it on here because I kind of like the white box around it. Gives it a little more classier look, kind of stands it out, pops out. Okay, so boom, we have it. We have this Gameday graphic made. All right, but here's the thing. We are going to make details. This looks great. Okay, cool, simple little design, but details on the graphic make it pop out to where it's like, okay, it just kind of gives it the little icing on the cake. Okay, I'm gonna make this smaller, it's bothering me. We're gonna add it, honestly, we're just gonna add a few like trims to this stuff just to make it a little more formal looking. So what I'm gonna do, oh, you know, that's fine. So on Ole Misses, I'm gonna show this so it makes sense of what I'm about to be doing. Okay, so here's the graphic right here. What we're gonna be adding is just a little white box down here. Gives it a little touch. And we're gonna be adding a what's it called through here? I guess an edge through here. I do notice how their photo is edged, but I'm gonna just make it sharp edges, and they have their little their logo down here, Ole Miss logo. This is really important when you are posting any videos, photos, or graphics onto an account, especially if this account has a specific brand to it. You want people to be able to recognize and be like, okay, this is Ole Miss, not just because of their jersey, not because it says it, but like you always want your logo on the bottom just to be like, this is our stuff. We do this all the time with content that we make here at SFA, and every photo, every video, and every graphic we put out and it has the SFA logo and it has our Under Armour symbol. Under Armour is who sponsors us. As you can see, all our clothes have Under Armour on them. So that's why we do it. As you can see, almost Nike or whoever sponsors them may not require that, but we do that and they do ask us to do that. So keep in mind of whoever sponsors may be. This may be somebody that's a restaurant, they're sponsoring you. Sometimes they want their name on a graphic, or say somebody, I don't know, say a certain game is sponsored by a restaurant, like I mentioned, then on this graphic, you're going to have their logo, and you'd cut the logo out just how I showed you earlier with the SFA. I'm trying to think what else. It just really depends. Say you have a certain organization coming out to the ballpark and you want to help raise money. It's your nonprofit. You may put the nonprofit's logo on there and be like, hey, come out to the game. It may be a little extra thing you add to a graphic. It just really depends on what needs to be done. Okay, let's go back to Photoshop. Photoshop, here we are. We're back. And we're back. Okay, so now that we're going to add the final touches to it. What I'm going to do to add some what's it called? Like a lines, I guess. I don't know what you call it. Anyways, I'm going to make a square, and you're going to freak out because you're going to be like, ah, you're covering up the photo. Psych. No, I'm not. I'm going to make it the color I want, which is going to be white. And you're like, oh no, it's still covering up the photo. Actually, I have to make it bigger, to be honest. Oh, psych. I have to make it bigger just because it's going to have to cover the whole thing, because the picture is actually going to end up being smaller. Okay, so I made it a little bigger. And down here, you're like, oh no, it's covering up. Where did the photo go? Anytime you have something and you're like, ah, it's in front of something, or I want it to be behind, come down to your layer box down here. As you can see, there's all these layers. Right here is this white triangle, or I don't even know my shapes, rectangle. We're going to take it behind this photo. And you're like, oh no, now I can't see the white, why do I keep saying triangle? Rectangle. You're going to make the photo smaller by selecting it, and you're going to have to go up here and scale. And you know what I just realized? I didn't have to make another rectangle because the background was already white. Ah, I'm crazy. Okay, so the photo, I'm going to have to scale it. So we may end up being able to have his whole foot in here. Who knows? Okay, so I mainly want it like that. And I'm going to try and crop the photo. What? No. Okay, anytime you make a mistake on Photoshop and you're like, oh no, how do I go back? Command Z. Command Z will literally save your life on everything. Everything literally on Photoshop, on Lightroom, on Adobe Premiere Pro, like literally will save you on everything. And I'm for real about that. Okay, so because of the photo, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna create these lines, I think. Because I want the photo still to be seen. So we're actually gonna delete this rectangle. Oh, anytime you want a layer to be deleted, you can literally drag it over the trash can. So actually, I'm not going to put the square over it. I'm actually going to create lines around it. So how I'm going to create lines is I'm going to go down to the line tool. And I'm going to create this line, and you're like, oh, it's too thin. No, it's not too thin, because I'm going to make the width like, why is it clear? Come on. Actually, I may just be doing a rectangle, but making it thin. See, this would be so much better. Thin rectangle. And you're probably wondering, you're like, okay, well, how am I supposed to make them all the same size? Easy. So I have this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here, which is my rectangle. I'm going to name it. No, it's not going to let me name it. Okay. So I have this rectangle, and you're like, I want it to be the same size. You can just copy it down here. Now you have this copy of rectangle 3, and I'm going to move it over here. So now I have this, and I'm going to create another rectangle because I'm going to go vertical with it. Maybe make it a little thinner. Now I have it. I can rectangle 4, copy rectangle 4 right here, and we're going to move it down here. And now we have this layer around the photo. The graphic now pops more because I have this extra layer. Or now because I have this frame around it, the picture pops. The graphic pops. So now I have this great graphic, but you're like, okay, well, I still need to add more. Not always. Sometimes simple is better. But I'm going to edit this photo because get out of the way thing. I don't know if y'all can see this toolbar from Zoom, but it is just annoying. Okay, so I have my layer for the photos. For the photo, click, I'm going to adjust the photos. So it's going to brighten it. I don't want it to look too contrast, but I am going to brighten him up a little. It's really hard because this photo was taken at nighttime. That's my own fault. Still a cool photo. One of the best photos. Just kidding. It's up there. Blair loves the photo. He loves this photo. Will loves this photo. I'm glad he does. But anyways, color balance. I don't want see how it's actually see how I made a little more, but I'm gonna pop it a little more. Makes him a little red. If I make him a little cool, I still want the purple to be purple. That's the biggest thing. I want it to always be purple. But he's really blue now. I'm playing. Let me make him a little more. No, because his skin tone is going to turn. Okay. You know what? This will do. So I just kind of adjusted the picture, kind of pulled out that purple a little more. So now I'm just going to add, Ole Miss had their logo right here. I'm going to get the logo that I already have for SFA, which is a transparent logo. Let me find it on my desktop. Y'all bear with me. These logos can always give me a hard time. I pull up to the after party. It's a preset. Hello, AC unit. Welcome back. I think I have it under my business folder. Let me check real quick. Sorry for the inconvenience. I pull up to the after party. Okay, well, I may not be able to find it. Love that for me. Oh, here it is. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to dry this on. As you can see, the logo comes on. It's transparent, and I can just adjust it by size. I actually think this will do. This little, I made it to where. Okay. Also, our logo comes in different colors, so it's not always this. Purples don't really match. I don't really like that. Okay. So. Like I said, I'm a perfectionist. And as you can see, here I am, being a perfectionist. Also, another thing I meant to mention was, say this photo right here, and you're like, I don't really know if I like it fully in focus, or not in focus, but fully, like you want it to be kind of blurred in a way. Not blurred, but turn the opacity down is what I'm saying. You would click on it and you would kind of do it like that. That way, the photo is not the main focus, but it is there. But you can turn the opacity down, kind of gives it a little, like it gives it a little glaze over it to make it look less there. You could also do fill. Fill is going to make it more white, but opacity is another one. Say you didn't want the square to be fully like that, you can always turn the opacity down, and the picture will start to come through in the background. Again, fill will do the same, I think. Yeah. Personally, I think it should be all the way, but I'm going to leave it kind of like that just because. But mainly, this is how you would do a game day. Hey, this is who we're playing. This is the time and place. This is, again, the one designed after Ole Miss. Pretty simple, not too much to add. Honestly, when you go, you can go and file. When you're done, file, save as, and you can name it whatever you want, Game Day Graphic. You're going to want to save it as Photoshop for now. When you first do it, you're going to want to save it as Photoshop, because then you can click it again, open it back up, change the text, and add a different photo. But here's the thing. When you go to save the actual graphic to post, you're going to want to save it as a JPEG. This means it will then be in a picture form. So let me show you. So I'm going to save it, Gameday graphics, save. It's going to save to my desktop. So now I'm going to show y'all what it is going to do. So now I gotta find it wherever it's at on my desktop. May not be on my desktop. Anyways, here it is. Gameday graphic. I pull it up. When I pull it up, as you can see, it does not pull up the picture. It pulls up Photoshop. So then when you come, it pulled up Photoshop like this. So when you come to Photoshop, you can then click the layer, you can delete it and just drag a photo in. So for instance, let's say, let's find another photo. Where's my baseball photos? Where did they go? I tell you what, I need to organize. Need to organize. Let me find it. I can find it. Okay, say I want to do this photo. Okay, so I'm like, I don't want this photo anymore. I'm gonna go and delete. So now I have this, and I'm gonna drag in a new photo. Hello. I now have this new photo, which already has the thing on it. I'm gonna turn it. Oh, did not mean to turn you upside down, my dude. So I'm gonna go make it about this size. Keep in mind, y'all don't look at this other logo down here. This photo already had the logo on it. So I'm gonna get it where I want. And he's on the other side. That ticks me off. And of course it's gonna turn him. So that's not what I wanted. Come on, my dude, just flip over for me. Rotate. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Why is it not letting me do this? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Yay. Switch it around to store. Whoa, 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 whoa. Did not mean to distort the photos so much. Anyways, so this photo, okay, say we got it and we're like, okay, change the photo. You can change text. And then it's like, okay, so now I have this graphic, this new graphic that I made. You will then go and say File, Save As. You will go down, hit JPEG, and you will name it whatever you want to name it. But let's say today's the day of the game. So I'm going to be like May 12th game day. And you, again, you can always make these in advance so you're not having to like, oh, hurry up and make it. But you'd save it. Okay, whatever. And so then I would then go to my desktop And where is May 12, blah, blah, blah. Here it is. Boom, my graphics there. But here's the cool thing, you still have this up here to use as a template. So again, this is a quick, easy way to do this. And you can make these templates for different graphics. Say you want to post a player's birthday, you can make these graphics and just put in a photo of the player and change the name. You can do this lineups, game days, pretty much anything. It's a simple, easy graphic. As you can see, Ole Miss uses it. You can't go wrong with something like that. And you can always use photos. And again, it's easy. That's about pretty much the easiest way if you want to make a graphic. Now, there is a lot more. There's a lot more difficult graphics that I can show you to make, especially when it comes to cutting out players. Keep in mind, when you want to cut out pictures of players, the quality of the photo really depends on how well the graphic's going to look. You can't have a blurry photo and cut out a picture of a blurry dude and put it on there and expect it to look amazing. There's a lot more details that go into planned out graphics. I'll tell you this. I'm gonna show you this website. This is where I get all my ideas for graphics unless I see them off of social media. This is called SkullSparks. You may have already heard of it. SkullSparks is one of the best at covering graphics, analytics, videos, anything related to social media content that has to do with sports. This is where I look. I'll go to Visual Archives and it'll bring me to their Pinterest page, and I get to look at, well, once it loads, I get to look at all these graphics that these schools put out, and it just honestly gives me ideas. I also can go over here and look at branding archives, and it's going to bring me to pretty much, it's going to bring me to everything on here. And the biggest thing when making graphics and posting on social media is being aware of your brand. The brand has to do with pretty much how you want other people to perceive your team, how you want fans to perceive you. I'm pretty sure if you are out here doing media content, then you are aware of what a brand is. And again, you have to keep in mind, do you want to go, sometimes you can go out of your comfort zone with graphics, and sometimes you can keep them simple and basic like these ones I was showing you. It just really depends on what the purpose is for the graphic. Again, SkullSparks has motion archives, which is going to be like GIFs, videos, etc. They even have jobs. They have analytics, how to, view if your posts are doing well, strategies. Overall, it shows all these college teams that use this media metric, which is, again, SkullSparks. It's a great tool, great thing to just analyze and look off of. So I definitely recommend, if you are wanting to get ideas or just better understand brand awareness, analytics, metrics, definitely check out SkullSparks. Again, I hope this video was helpful for a quick little graphic. I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, I'll probably be making some more. So thanks for watching.